The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University. Hello and welcome to this week's Art Beat on KLZK FM 105.7. Glad you're joining us here. And we are here with a member of the School of Theater and Dance's team, and that is Josh Whitt. Hello, Josh.
Hello.
I'm going to frame this, our conversation, or at least the intro here, with a conversation we had a couple weeks ago with one of your colleagues from the School of Theater and Dance, Corey Norman, and he helped us all understand what the front of house meant in a theater context. So ushers and programs and ticket sales and getting people to their seats and parking and all that stuff. And by contrast, I think you would be described probably as the back of house person. Is that correct?
Yes, back of house, basically all production related things.
Okay. And your title then specifically in the School of Theater and Dance is?
Production manager.
Production manager. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right, which sounds like everything, as you say.
It is. If it has to do with the production, I'm involved with it some form or fashion.
Okay, so break that down for us. I know there are other personnel that obviously you coordinate or that coordinate with each other and maybe report to you or whatever as far as putting on a show. What are those separate divisions that we might think about that have their own kind of specific areas or own specific people?
Well, officially, who I oversee is all of the production staff.
Okay.
So that is the studio supervisors for the electric shop, the scene shop, and the costume shop. Those are my most direct reports that I work with every single day to help get all of the productions done.
Okay, so that's costumes, so that's dressing the people, and then you have to dress the stage, I guess. That's the scenic design. And then the electrical, which I guess lighting and sound, right?
Pretty much. If it plugs in any form or fashion, it goes into the electrical shop. So that's projection, that's sound, that's lighting, all of those types of things. And then, of course, like you said, the scenic is not just the scenic elements in terms of what you see in terms of doors, platforms, and things like that. It also includes the paint shop, so it's getting everything painted. It's also props, so the props that all the actors handle. And then, of course, you hit it with the costuming. It's dealing with the costume shop and how they construct the garments, get them on the stage, and also hair and makeup as well. Okay, which is, all under costume. So that, I think no one in the audience is surprised that putting on a large stage production is, in fact, a big involved deal, and there are certainly more people behind the stage that are making that production happen than you see on the stage. Mm-hmm. So, what are some recent productions that had maybe some special challenges, I guess, from a production standpoint? All of them. They all come with their unique challenges.
Okay.
And they also come with their, some of them are easier to produce and some of them are a little bit more challenging to produce. Definitely things like your musicals are more challenging to produce because I am also interfacing with musicians.
Okay. Always difficult.
Everybody has their own challenges.
Right.
And then you have like dance shows. I also work with dance as well.
Okay.
So when we have dance shows, they have their different challenges. And then you have your non-traditional or your traditional shows, such as your regular musicals, and then even some non-traditional shows like devised pieces and things like that, or even signature things that we do outside of the school as well.
Okay. So devised shows where there's not necessarily a fixed script or fixed blocking or whatever. That must be tricky for lighting, I suppose, where I've got the spotlight pointed at this spot and the person will hit their mark and they'll deliver whatever lines they are, and that's all predictable. But
most of the time, nebulous things are all worked out before we get into our technical process, and then it gets more refined and is kind of more standardized by the time we get there. But even the management of all of that in a devised piece before you get to there is kind of the roadmap that we don't know, and we kind of create as we go.
Okay. In some sense, you're kind of dependent on the timing of casting the show and blocking, right, telling people where they're going to stand, and I guess the arrangement before you can even start to do some of the more detailed components of production. I'm sure there are moments of frustration in that, waiting for other things to get done before you can start doing your things.
Yeah, mostly my job is navigating all of the different personalities, making sure they're communicating, and what is needed to be communicated, making sure, documents are created so that they are executed, and then figuring out what the timelines of those are, how much it's going to cost, who's going to do them. Just kind of following through that. It's a glorified project manager is really what it is. And
well,
then working
it
even
creates
with other people.
glorious things on the stage. So sure, we'll go with that.
It does. And I also interface with a lot of different other areas too, not only just managing the shops. So I interface with the theater performance area, talking to the directors, finding out what they want, what are their needs, what are their concepts and things like that. Dance for choreography and musicians and even guest artists. So I even work with them too, and even sometimes do their contracting and things like that.
Oh, okay. So how often does it happen where you're talking with the director or the dramaturg of a show or something, you say, that's a great idea, it's impossible?
It happens more often than not, especially in an educational environment because the skill sets are so varied.
Okay.
And so I have to take a lot of that in consideration and what do we have skill-wise? Is that possible? And then, of course, it's looking at, what money do we have to get that to be done? And then what is our timeline? You've asked for this tomorrow. Here's what we can logistically do between now and that time.
Because you have a view of, you asked for this thing, but that's actually 5 things in a very certain order that will take more than 24 hours or whatever.
So it's very important for me to know what other people do and how they do it. And what they're capable of. And that takes a lot of me knowing them and talking to them if I don't know and asking the questions. So a lot of it is not me doing artistically interpreting anything. It's mostly just saying, that the artistic comes from the direction and other teams and the producer and stuff like that. My job is to listen to them and say, what do we need programmatically for the school and for the programs that we have within inside of it and what our students need to learn. So talking to the faculty on that side of things and area heads. And then at the same time going, what do our skills exist in terms of the labor that we have? And kind of being that liaison. And also working with, the stage managers too and working with them really closely because I'm their mentor as well. And how
these are students that you're mentoring and training to do these jobs.
Yes. So that way they can communicate. So they're the hub. Everything goes through the stage manager. I always make this joke that if a stage manager doesn't know, nobody knows.
Oh. They're the repository of what's supposed to be happening when.
And I'm not only doing that with just one production. I'm looking at all the productions at the same time.
For a whole season.
And then not just productions, but also other things that are happening around the productions and in the school and other schools as well.
Right. I imagine in this educational context, that's just another layer of complexity to the whole operation. You're not just putting on something to draw an audience and whatever. You've got to think of all of the pedagogical aspects of it as well. And like you say, the maybe inconsistent skill sets, experiences, that sort of thing. So it sounds like your position as production manager is some part diplomat and some part maybe school counselor or psychotherapist or what, all of those things.
People knock on my door all the time.
Oh, interesting. So I want to ask a bit about projection. You mentioned that kind of early on, and that seems to me at least to be a really significant development in theater, musical theater, opera, all these things in the past, decade or two, where you can paint the side of a house right on the scene and put it on the stage, and that's traditionally how it's done. But now you can put a flat scrim or something, right, a curtain or something, and project that same screen on there. What's your feeling about projection? What's gained? What's lost? How much do we do it here at Texas Tech?
I have a personal philosophy about projections, and that is projection should be like any other element. It should be reinforcing and supplemental. While there are moments where it can be standalone and its own thing, just like any other, like performance can be that way. A scenic element can be that way. I mean, they all invoke many different emotions. Projections is just another one of those tools that we have as designers and artists that can help tell the story and build the world.
Okay. I've seen a couple productions where they've simulated, snowfall, for instance. So instead of a couple people up on the catwalk, shaking boxes of whatever you use for actual snow, you can project it and get that vibe. It's telling the same story, to your point, but maybe making less of a mess.
Yeah, yes. Like mess is a thing that we can deal with most of the time.
Okay.
As long as it's planned and we know that it's going to happen. Projection can also solve some of those problems. Like, let's say we don't have the budget for a snowfall,
Okay.
but we may have we may have the time, and the artist is available to make a snowfall happen on the set, and so it can solve a problem.
Okay. Interesting.
And that's where projection is really key. It should be solving problems, not creating them, just like anything else. But it also shouldn't be a crutch as well.
Okay. And that sounds like there's some very gray area design choices in there that you have to negotiate with the other folks that are putting on the show. Fascinating. What have we used in terms of production here in recent Texas Tech productions to good or bad effect?
So, I mean, we've used them in many different ways. We're kind of advancing a lot of that right now.
Okay.
We're fortunate enough that when we've had our building construction here recently, that we got a lot of equipment to help kind of bring that into fruition for our productions, where previously we had to rely on the practical effects, which still have their place, and even sometimes a practical effect of lighting or whatever scenic element in conjunction with projection creates the best theater magic. So we've been able to kind of start advancing in that area, and we're lucky enough. Our new hire for lighting was also a projection hire as well.
Okay.
So we're starting to integrate that into our curriculum. And also our understanding of artists, because it is something that doesn't really, it's not mainstream as much as in our, I guess, in the people who've had their training in the years past. That training was more practical effect, or it was limited in the technologies, and those technologies have grown so much, and they've grown quickly, even in the last 5 years.
Right.
That we're able to now kind of delving into that and experimenting with that and kind of gaining and growing in that area.
Okay.
So some of the productions we've used those in, we've always kind of like, the typical use of projection. We're like, hey, we'll do some title screens, or we'll do a little bit of thing here and there in terms of just kind of reinforcing some things. But we've gotten a little bit more ambitious.
Okay.
As we've, again, gained these technologies and knowledge, where we've been kind of incorporating it into now giving us some overlays on top of scenery to kind of help us tell some of the story and kind of give more of a graphic representation, and kind of reinforcing that scenic element that you just need that extra little touch of magic, as we call it. And so we're starting to see that now. And like Sweeney Todd was one of those examples where we kind of integrated some projection screens and surfaces to kind of help us indicate locations that we couldn't build.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or that needed to change very quickly, that doesn't bore the audience in watching something change on stage. You can do it instantaneously with a projection. Or it gives us an opportunity to even expand some of the storytelling. For example, when we did the Ghost Project, we could use some projection to kind of help overlay on some of the action that's happening on stage too.
Okay. So solving a problem, as you were saying before. Yeah. Interesting. Any shows coming up this next season that you're, first of all, allowed to tell us about that are coming, but that might have some specific production challenges? Like, I know Sweeney Todd, there's always the chair, right, in the shoot. Like, that's a standard stage element that you have to figure out some way to do in that show. Anything like that coming up here?
Well, I know that for the Crucible, our director is wanting to use some projection to help, because we're going to be doing it in our black box, which has a smaller venue, and there's not a lot of wing space, so we can't have a lot of unit sets and things like that. So he's wanting to utilize some projection technologies to kind of help supplement some of the places and locations, and also to kind of overlay some of the story there.
Okay.
So we'll see how that one goes. And I think there's definitely, there's some practical effects. I think we're looking at trying to do some puppetry work.
Oh, okay.
These are things on the table. They may change between now and the actual, implementation of it.
Sure.
These are all the big box ideas, as I call them. We're pulling from them right now. In terms of other shows, musicals are always a good opportunity for us to have technical challenges, because they're usually multiple scenes. There's so many people on stage, and there's usually very specific needs inside of the show. We are going to be doing Mean Girls as our musical. It's changed multiple times because of rights negotiations, but we finally settled on Mean Girls, and so that's going to have some scene changes, and we'll probably use some different technologies to do that, both practical and probably technological ones.
Interesting. And it, going to the big shows that are now touring and coming through Buddy Holly Hall there, it's interesting to note that the audience's response to, as you say, the more traditional, the practical effects, I think maybe at least me as an audience member, I appreciate those because I know you could have done this. You could have used the in this case, a crutch, I guess, of projection, but you chose not to. You chose to do it the hard way, and somehow that was more impactful. So, yeah, I think there's room for both, right? As you say, they're both tools.
I think probably, and this is not here something we've done, but The Great Gatsby that was done on Broadway recently was a great example of a blending of all of current and existing technologies, where a lot of the people who watched that show didn't know where the scenery began in the projection and like where they were, like what was projected and what was real.
Cool.
So it can be a thing.
Okay.
We're striving towards that type of work for us and growth in our tool sets.
All right. Next stop, hologram actors, right? Is that?
Yep, it's closer than you think.
Really? Okay. Well, next time we talk, we'll be able to talk about that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Josh Whitt, our production manager from the School of Theater and Dance at Texas Tech. Gosh, good luck. I hope you get a little chance to breathe and not have to maybe negotiate so many difficult conversations and relationships while you're planning for the coming season so you can do it again.
All right. Well, thank you for having me today. It was great.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye. The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University.